Example, the other day, I'm changing my daughter's diaper and she got shit all over my arm and I lost my fucking mind. Welcome to the China On podcast. I'm your host, Chris, and today I have a handful of things that I want to talk about being a dad. Yes, I am here in my garage. I flip things around, and you're looking at this beautiful Bali painting of some sort of demon. And when we bought it, they said they multiple people told us, "Hey, whatever you do, don't put this inside your house because you're inviting demons into your house." This is why when you see them out in when you actually go to Bali, they're statues outside of people's houses or they're at the door. Something about like warding off spirits. And yeah, of course, I didn't listen to that. And so this painting before my wife made me put it in the garage here was inside the house. Um, yeah, and demons were just running around in there. So that's life. Sometimes you buy a nice painting, you think it's a cool thing. Uh, some of your friends or family members might think they might question your sexuality because of all the rainbows. You think it's cool, and ultimately, at the end of the day, what really happened is you unleashed some demons into your house. Happens to the best of us. I'm sure you have a tale or two of a time that you bought a painting and invited some demons into your home. Anyway, welcome to the show. I appreciate you joining me. One of the things that I want to talk about is just the level that your kids can infuriate you when you don't even like it's you didn't even know it was possible. And it's not even reasonable either. Example, the other day, I'm changing my daughter's diaper and she got shit all over my arm and I lost my fucking mind. I went I just went berserk. I was changing her diaper. She got this mischievous look. She starts kicking her feet, kicks her leg right into a diaper full of shit, and then kicks into my arm. And I've got like a nice big, it was like wispy. I wouldn't say it was I would say it was like maybe an inch long, but like a solid third of an inch of wisp sitting up, just caked on my arm. And I just fucking flipped out. And I'm thankful my wife was there because I was just, sometimes you just need a relief person to come in and take over. She did a great job. I went, I cleaned shit off my hands. And then part of it too, when they're this age, they don't know what just happened. So you can't just let that sit and just have that like uh, oh, dad flipped out, and then there's no resolution. You have to go back and you have to explain, okay, I'm sorry that I flipped out because you kicked your feet and got shit all over my arm. I'm very sorry that I did that. Dad loves you. Here's your peanut butter. Whatever it ends up being, but you have to go back and you have to explain it. So it was a part of this has been a part of fatherhood that has taken me a while to learn and actually appreciate. And I think one of the most helpful things early on, before I even had kids, a long time ago, was a buddy of mine was like, "Hey, yeah, one time there's something called shaken baby syndrome, and people will just shake babies." And, with no context, and if you're before you have a kid, you're like, "How could somebody do that? How could somebody go ahead and just shake a baby? That's terrible." But then he told me that his dad one time was so frustrated with him as a baby that he had to sit him on like a couch or something and go in the other room and just lose his mind. And I remember thinking, I don't know, we were probably in ninth grade, 10th grade when he told me this. I remember thinking, oh man, if my friend's dad, who I know, if he could get to that point, there's a pretty good chance that I could get to that point at some point. Like, so I kind of had that thought in the back of my head going into having a baby. And it was a very helpful thought because, yeah, you would, in the past, I might have looked at somebody like, I just can't believe it. But then you get to that spot. And especially in those early months when they're not sleeping and stuff, I just you just remember there were times when you'd be rocking the baby and you just want her to go to sleep and she won't go to sleep and you have to sit there and like turn her away and just silently like fucking motherfucker and then go back and be like ha 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 ha, everything's fine, because ultimately everything's fine. It's not that big of a deal, but you just need you need that release. You need to like let it out. Otherwise, I think you can become a crazy person. Like, I don't know how you would go through that and just be like, hmm, 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 hmm. Then you fucking show up somewhere with a gun. You show up to a public place with a gun, and you don't want that. So I think ultimately, although I might sound like a lunatic, it's probably a better thing to just get pissed off, deal with it, and then move on. Goose fraba. And I remember a while ago, I was listening to uh, Jordan Peterson was talking about in his book, the first one, where he's like, yeah, there was a 2-year old there that was acting up or something, and I had to like put him in his place and like trying to get him to sleep, and you had to like kind of hold him there in the crib or whatever. And they're formidable little opponents. And I was like, okay, I can see it. And then I remember seeing an interview with that guy Gabor Mate. He's got good ideas, that guy. But then this was the time when they started doing all the hit pieces on Jordan Peterson, and then every interview was like, "So why is Jordan Peterson the devil?" And so they would go through all these things, and I remember him being like, that's there's a lot of like repression in there. He said something about having to push down a 2-year old and keep them at bay, and there's a lot of repression there. It's like, dude, that's the sign of a person that's like a good person, that they didn't fucking lose their mind when a 2-year old's acting up, because there's not that much room to reason with a baby that age. They don't, like, they're starting to put it together, but it's not like, hey, what are you doing? Why would you do that? You can clearly see that's bad. They're like, more, more, cookie, cookie, more, more, more. No, you can't have a cookie because it's 5 minutes before we're giving you a bath and going to the bed. Wah! And then there's the meltdown. And if that's the 14th meltdown of the day, it's you're a good person if you don't flip the fuck out, if you don't uh I don't know, jump off the roof. Like, they can really drive you to the point of insanity just with things like that. And then you really shouldn't get that pissed about it, but you do. And so it's that balance. I don't think that that's a like, oh my god, it's repressive to think that way. It's like, hey, maybe that's actually a good person. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. One other thing I did want to talk about on here, and I'll share this with you. So there's a video that this channel, it's called After School, put out. I'll put the show notes below. I really like this channel. They take all these philosophers and people with different ideas. Sometimes he does it with conversations and interviews that he'll have, and he'll go through and um, animate it and do these kind of like the way that you would draw on a whiteboard with the markers and stuff. But he does all these awesome animations. They're very cool. But there's this one. Let me see if I can just make this full screen so you can see. So there's one that he just did a little while ago with Earl Nightingale. It's called The Strange Secret to Success. And the reason why this one stands out to me is because um, all the mindset course shit that you've been hearing me talk about, um, it's actually a lot of it is based on one, Think and Grow Rich, but also some of the stuff that Earl Nightingale did. So it was cool the other night when I went back through to listen to this, and it's kind of a condensed version of all the stuff that I've been going over in this course. And one of the things that is really valuable that I've learned in here that I just kind of am starting to realize the practicality is there's a part in it, and it's actually at this part. It is, what is the timing here? At like 10 minutes and 40, 10 minutes and 30, 10 minutes and 40 seconds right here. So it's talking about how your mind is like it's like fertile soil, and the mind, and it says on the screen, the mind, like the land, doesn't care what you plant in it. It will return what you plant, but it doesn't care what you plant. And I think that that's pretty true, because one of the things that I always ran into was that I'd have all these negative thoughts going and going and going. And when you're sending that into the soil of your mind, however you want to look at it, that's what's growing. So you start thinking about that consistently, and then that grows. And then soon you're overwhelmed by those thoughts. So, like, if you plant all those seeds and that stuff grows, that's all you're going to think about. Another thing to talk in the video and in this course is you become what you think about all day long. But just for a practical tip on this, one of the things that I started doing after doing this course is in the mornings, while you're still kind of not awake, start fucking planting those seeds of like saying to yourself things like, I'm going to sell a bunch today. We're helping people. We're doing this. Whatever your goal is, whatever you want to try to do that you normally talk yourself out of, or once you hit a roadblock during the day, that put that in your mind early, first thing in the morning. When you wake up, you're still asleep pretty much, but you're kind of waking up. Start putting that in. Like if your goal is to sell a bunch, hey, I'm going to sell. I'm closing something today, closing something every day. I'm going to be uh, meeting with people. I'm calling people. I'm going to book a demo. I'm going to finish a demo today. I'm going to send out a contract. We're getting people on this podcast. We're going to put out content. We're going to do all this stuff, all of those things that you want to do, that you want to achieve, that are related to that ultimate goal. If you have that goal that you want to do in the morning, I've been doing that lately. And it's a lot of repetition, and it feels pointless at first because you're going through and you're constantly saying this stuff, and it doesn't really, like, it doesn't take hold first thing in the morning. You feel like a fucking idiot, honestly. I'm gonna sell. I'm gonna sell. I'm helping people. I'm gonna sell. I'm gonna sell. All these things. You say it over and over and over again. And then what I've noticed now that I've been doing that for a while is that if you can do that in the morning and fire those thoughts in, that when you start to wake up, there is like a point in the morning, maybe it's 30 minutes, maybe it's an hour after you wake up, but when you start to actually wake up and you kind of turn on your mind for the day and you're not in that like sleepy zone, you're more able to get closer to that goal. Like it helps build up your will to get there. Because like, you know the feeling once you hit that 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, after you've dealt with the bullshit of the day. If you're selling, after dealing with enough rejections, or hey, we're not going to sign up, or people not being interested, or hanging up, or not answering, or not getting back to you, whatever that is, that takes a toll on you throughout the day. And so what I found is if you can plant those seeds early in the morning, early in the day, fire that stuff in there, that when you're going through your day, you can actually deal with that stuff. You're more likely to focus on getting to that goal, what you can do to overcome it. everything like that. So you get out of that stuck over and over thinking about what's wrong, why you're failing, all these things. Another piece from this course and from this video too, like, you become what you think about all day long, which means that if you are thinking about like things that you don't want to do, or why you don't want things to be, or you're worried that I don't want to get hung up on, or I don't want a customer to be angry, or I don't want to go get rejected from this thing that I'm doing. If you focus on that kind of stuff, you're you're going to pay attention to that. You'll probably end up making it happen. You might not. It's not like it's guaranteed that way, but you're more likely to attract the thing that you don't want because you're focusing on it. Versus if you focus on the thing that you actually want, you start to think about solutions. You start to think about ways that you can actually hit this goal, achieve whatever it is. It's been helpful for me because I was normally a person that when you run into something, you just kind of like, well, it's sunk. Whatever. What are you going to do? And now, like we were just talking about, I have a baby. I got a family. I gotta pay for this garage, dude. I can't keep buying all these Bali paintings and expect to just not work. You can't go in here and get a custom lava and burnt wood looking frame that when you take it in there and you think it's going to be a couple $100 and then they tell you it's like $1,000 and your head's about to fucking explode because I can't believe that it costs that much to freaking put wood around a picture or a painting. These are the things that pop up all the time and it doesn't stop. So I don't know. Maybe I've hit a certain point, and I think this happens to a lot of people. I think as they get older and they hit certain things, like I don't like that I keep getting the same result, and I don't like that I keep getting sunk by the same things. Let me change it. That's where I'm at. So if you're going through trying to figure out where you want to go, and you keep falling into the same repetitive loop of like negative thoughts, why you can't do things, all that stuff, you're a pussy and you should probably kill yourself. No, I'm just kidding. Like if you try this method, try it. Give it a shot. It's real like you'll feel stupid. You'll feel very dumb for a while. But don't try to do this. Either do it or don't do it. But if you wake up in the morning, find the goal that you want, and then um, just keep repeating yourself to yourself, like all the aspects of it that you actually want to achieve, everything like that. And go watch this video. Like I told my buddy, like go back, watch this video, and just watch it over and over and over again. Like that repetition will help. So that's all I really wanted to say about this. We're going to be interviewing. So this will probably go out on Wednesday or Thursday, and then the episode that's going to come out this week, probably after this one, will be with Caleb from Narrative. Well, not Narrative Coffee anymore. From Take Two, but we talk about his time at Narrative, starting the company, running it, and then ultimately leaving, getting pushed out. Is pretty fascinating story. We ended up talking for 2 hours. It was an awesome conversation. I really enjoyed that we got to do it. Finally, the sometimes as you go through and you try to set these things up, it doesn't work. We were trying to make something like this happen for a year and a half, and we both ended up stop doing the past business that we were doing. So it all worked out and this was awesome. And I think more will come of it in the future. So I'm pumped to release it. And then just on this topic that we've been talking about, uh, I'm bringing on the guy that's my mindset coach. His name is Gus, and we'll talk about some of this stuff. And if you want, send in some questions. We've got the pod inbox below. You can send voicemails. You can send text through there now. You can send emails, whatever you want to send. But if you have questions about this stuff and you want to have it answered by somebody who actually teaches this stuff, then reach out and don't feel like, oh, this is a stupid question. Because look, I didn't think I was going to have a mindset coach. I really did not. I know I've said this on the show a handful of times, but I did not think that I was going to have a fucking mindset coach. Are you kidding me? What do I need a mindset coach for? But it was, you've got these repetitive habits that keep getting you to a spot that you don't want. You don't want to be here. You want to make more money. You want to do all these things. You want to push this stuff forward. And honestly, it's been a huge help in moving me in the direction that I want to go. I genuinely want to be doing this. I want to be sitting in my garage talking into a camera like a fucking lunatic. I genuinely want to be doing this. And there's so many reasons why this couldn't happen. You think, like, okay, well, this is pretty basic. You've got a camera and you've got a microphone, but you know, the Bali painting? I mean, come on. I want you know, look at that. That doesn't just happen by accident. You have to will that into existence, dude. You can't just show up to some sort of market in Thailand and be like, "Hey, can I buy some, pretty good art for like a tenth of the price of what I could buy that for in the US?" Like, you can't just do that. Like, this is like, I manifested this. Like, this wasn't even in my garage. And I was like, hey, I want a painting like that. And then I came down the next morning. It's like, holy shit, look, it's got these fucking logs and stuff on it. Looks like lava. I mean, it's beautiful. And I manifested that. I did. There's not many. I think this is one of 8 manifestations. So, or maybe one of 200. We'll see. But yeah, it's tremendous, and you don't just get that. Like, I didn't just have that before. Like, I didn't just buy that in 2018 when I was there. Like, this was something that I recently manifested. And so if you're interested in that, reach out, leave a question. Um, yeah, it would be cool to actually get your feedback and get some questions before we kick that off. It has been very helpful for me, and I hope it will be for you too. Thank you for listening. I hope you guys have a tremendous evening, a tremendous day. I hope all good things for you and yours. Thank you, sweeties. Bye bye.